Hey everybody, Nick here. Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I'm going to talk about one of the things that absolutely makes humanity look so stupid, and that is the smartphone, ironically enough. So I remember way back in the, I would say, early 2000s, let's say like 2001, 2002-ish, and I was about 16, 17 years old. And I remember everybody started to get cell phones back in the day. And they were like not the most high tech and whatever, but they were pretty reliable. I had several cell phones over the years, but the first one I had was the Nokia. It looked like a little brick, a little gray brick. And I just remember everybody wanted one, and because they wanted to call their friends and they wanted to text message. Text message was like the WhatsApp of or 2001 or whatever it is, whatever year that was. And I just remember you could get like plans. It wasn't even that cheap, but I mean, I think you could pay like $40 for like the cheapest plan, and they had the pay as you go and all that stuff. But everyone wanted to text message and call their friends, and I just remember getting my first cell phone, and it was pretty cool. Not everyone you knew had one, so you didn't really have that many people to like call or text message, but you did have a way to communicate with your parents or whatever you had to do. It was kind of neat, but I mean, the technology wasn't that great. There was no camera. You could still call places if you wanted to, and figure out things. The signal was pretty crappy in most spots, but that was like the beginning of the whole cell phone thing. So one thing I remember doing on the phone was you could take the cap off, like the cover off, and it's so stupid, but and like hook up all these lights, so like if someone would call you, it would start flashing. I don't know if you guys remember that. It was pretty silly. It would pretty much use up all the battery power of the phone. But Nokia actually was quite a good phone. For that old Finnish phone was really, really reliable. And I mean, you could drop it, it wouldn't break. It was durable. And, it was pretty heavy, but it was still pretty durable. I mean, I'll give them that. That was a pretty good cell phone. And then I remember in mid 2005, or like mid 2000s, like 2005 or 2006, they started coming up with the camera phones. It might have been 2004, I'm not sure. And that was like the beginning of the stupidity. Even when there was just regular cell phones, it wasn't so bad, because there was none of the you couldn't surf the internet that well. Some of them you could, but it was like really not much you could do. You could like play a game, but no one was really beholden to their phone, slaves to their phone at that point. Not yet. And then this, like I mentioned, the camera started becoming a mainstay on the cell phones. I remember the first one, it was like a flip, and you could take a photo, a color photo. And I remember people started taking photos like underneath women's skirts, and this was like the beginning of the cancel culture of with the cell phone, because people would catch somebody in the act or something, and they would be like, I have proof, you see, rather than going to actually buy a camera, which even back then they were okay quality. You'd have to spend a lot of money on a good, decent camera. I mean, even with these cell phone cameras, the quality was so, right? It was like very pixelated and very small screen, right? But I had I think it was a Nokia as well, or maybe like a Motorola. I think it was a Motorola, and I got the camera phone, and I mean, it was cool, but you could only do so much with it. You couldn't really print anything at that point off of it. But then later they started coming up with like cables that you could take the data off, or I don't know. I don't even remember taking that many photos with it, to be honest. I had the Motorola, what do you call it? No, sorry, I had a BlackBerry. I did have the Motorola flip phone as well, which they started becoming more expensive, but I would get them like through plans, and you would just pay monthly on the phone until you own it, like 2 or 3 year plans. Um, but what was I saying? Yeah, so the BlackBerry had its, which is Canadian actually, a Canadian made back in the day, had its own messaging program, which is kind of cool. The BlackBerry Messenger, which you could communicate with other Blackberries. It was a sleek phone, but I mean, until the Apple iPhone came out, the first one, it was like 2009 or 10 or something like that. And that just blew the whole competition away, where you could start like taking really decent photos. Like still not as good as today, but like for 2010, 2009, not bad. Browsing the internet was much easier. It was just a cool looking phone, especially like something new. Nobody ever came out with something like that. But that's when the real stupidity really hit the fan. The moment that the iPhone started coming out, people were like obsessed with them, and they'd have to have the new one every year. The new, it's still today. I mean, people buy the new phone every year. They drop down like, they plop down $1,500 just for a damn phone, sometimes more than that, depending on how much space. So for me, the smartphone has really made a lot of people kind of drone-like. Like I think over the last 7-8 years, it's been really bad. You'll see people in the shopping mall or a group of friends go out for dinner or whatever, and they're all on their damn phone. Everyone's scrolling, and it's just like, what the hell happened to people? It's becoming a really bad addiction. And I could get into the whole other, the social media aspect of it, but I mean, whatever. I'll do maybe a video about social media. But the smartphone is just like, people stopped living more down to earth. Like, it would just be more, what can I do? Especially now, like the last 3, 4, 5 years, with the technology just so advanced, and the Instagram, I mean, Instagram also caused a lot of that. Usually these apps, it's the apps that you need in order to be obsessed with the phone, because they go kind of hand in hand. So people taking photos, selfies. Do you remember when the selfie came out? Oh God, because they had the both sided cameras. They had the front camera and then the back camera, so you could flip it and take the selfie. And it's just, humanity has really become dumbed down because of this phone. Not to mention a lot of the other implications when it comes to health. People, I guess, get a dopamine hit from the phone because they're just all that information, non-stop information at your fingertips. You can find out anything you wanted. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but a lot of people just don't know how to balance it out. They get super addicted, like anything else that is addictive. You don't know how to control it. It gets out of hand. You start not doing other things that you should be doing in life, whether that's working or whatever, whatever it is that people do. They just basically focus on the smartphone, and it's taken over people's lives. The other negative thing about it is the fact that it emits EMF radiation, which has been proven to be dangerous. I think the CDC, maybe the World Health Organization, not that I like any of these organizations, but they have studies that have come out showing that EMF radiation is bad and it causes cancer. It's carcinogenic, especially if you're always making calls like close to your face. I never make calls actually close to my ear or anywhere near my face. Usually I'll use headphones and I'll do that. I prefer that. I don't even use wireless headphones. I think those are just pretty much the same shit when it comes to the EMF radiation. There's a lot of other implications to the phone, like privacy. Anyone can sort of hack the phone. I think, unfortunately, when it's connected to the internet, people are listening as well, which is a very, very, scary thought, considering it goes against your privacy. People are listening on a daily basis, and it's been proven. Some people, when they're browsing, an ad will pop up or something of something that they had been talking about earlier. So there's some sort of algorithm that is enabling voice recognition to, you know, pop up things, bring things that you've spoken about to your phone without even recalling it or using a command. It just sort of comes up, especially as you're browsing the internet on your phone. I've seen it. It's happened to me, but usually I put airplane mode on or I turn my phone off when I'm not using it for long periods of time. I found myself getting kind of, scrolly, and I hate that shit. I find myself, what's going on here? You can catch yourself in the middle of it. So I don't do like selfies. I don't do any of that. The best thing that I could say that I use my phone for is like, posting sometimes shorts on my YouTube channel, making calls that I can't normally make from this country to my home country to people that I speak to, whether that's through Facebook, and I absolutely can't stand Facebook, but that's for another day. But I can make, free calls, video calls to people that I wouldn't be able to make a regular phone call to. So there is that positive side of it. I'm not against the iPhone or the smartphone per se, but I think that people have lost all sense of, responsibility when it comes to using it. I think that it's taken over people's lives. I think it's playing a huge role in the global agenda of what these globalists want to do. Because if you want to instill digital currency or like digital ID, most people have a damn phone these days, right? Most people are mesmerized by it, and they'll not even think twice about putting their digital ID on their phone. So they'll think it's convenient. It's all about convenience. You want to if you want to sell a tyrannical idea, you have to sell it as a good idea. So they've already addicted most societies around the world to using a smartphone. So now that's the first phase out of the way. Now they can just instill the digital IDs. I don't know when that's going to come, but I'm sure it's already started in many countries. And people are just going to say, oh yeah, this is pretty convenient. I don't have to whip out a card or anything. I have my phone on me and boom. But what about old people who don't use a damn smartphone? There's still those people. Of course, they won't be around forever. And that's, they'll grandfather that shit out. So, I don't know. Even in this country where I'm at, in Brazil, it's still really bad. You go on buses or what do you call it? Metro, the subway. All you see is people on their phone. All you see is that. Even Canada, I mean, anywhere you go, US, Canada, anywhere that, people have smartphones, it's like all these people have become drones. And even on the streets, you see it, people looking down and they won't even know what the hell's going on. They'll walk into you sometimes because they don't even realize what the hell they're doing. They're just so into the phone, concentrated on the smartphone, that everything else is just, second, not even in their mind, not even in their radar. And that's happening a lot, even here. And the number one thing that's being stolen here in Brazil is the smartphone. And you'd think these people would stop using it on the street and stuff, but no, that hasn't stopped much. I've seen people have their phones stolen from them. So it's really, really sad that it's come to this. Well, one thing I forgot to mention, so I was mentioning how the EMF radiation, all that stuff, even Elon Musk, who in my opinion is a globalist, go-getter or lackey, whatever word you want to use. He was on the Joe Rogan podcast saying how it's not a danger and don't worry about it. Don't worry about your phone. It's not emanating dangerous protons or whatever. It's just going to heat up your ear. Like, come on, man. There's studies out there. How many people are going to buy that shit? So my recommendation is try to, lower the amount of use that you use, because it's causing a lot of detrimental harm to your body. It's probably changing you on a subatomic level. How the hell do I know? Maybe. We don't know, because you're constantly getting a signal beam to it, right? You get the Wi-Fi, you get the antenna beam to it. It's not got to be healthy for you when you're constantly being radiated with that. Especially I see people with it in their pockets all day long, and I'm just, my goodness. I try to either turn it off or put it on airplane mode. Whether that does anything, I have no idea. It's just incredible how people have become so obsessed with the smartphone, and I don't see that changing anytime soon. And it's hard to give up too, because it's got its uses. It's practical for quite a few things. So I mean, I don't know what you do with that. I mean, how you can replace that. I have the iPhone 14, and I have an Android kind of a backup phone, because here unfortunately there's a lot of theft when it comes to smartphones. So I'm not getting a new phone for a long time. This is like, I bought this early last year, which would have been 2023. I don't see myself getting a new phone or anything for a long time. I just don't care. And it's a lot of money and whatever, man. I don't know. I don't know how people get so obsessed with it, and but you see it everywhere. And people are just so distracted. I mean, if you want people to be addicted, possibly because there's some sort of interference to the mind as well, because we're all on what do you call it, electrical signaling, or like, I forget what it's called, a wavelength program or something. The brain sends off signals, and if you're with your phone all the time, it's going to interfere with that, and it's probably making a lot of people sick, obviously. So I'm going to put a short video of one of my favorite guys talking about that, and maybe you can check that out, and he explains it a little bit better. But it's really ridiculous. Anyway, let me know what you think of the smartphone. Do you guys own a smartphone? Do you think that humanity should try to, give it up? Do you think it's possible? Let me know what you think. And yeah, hit the like button. Subscribe if you're new to my channel. My channel is growing, and I'm happy about that, because I'm reaching more people, creating a community of free thinkers. And yeah, it's pretty cool talking to you guys. So thanks again for watching. See you guys in the next video very soon. Bye for now.